Hello and welcome back to Low Tech Sarah Production. It has been a while and I figured what better way to relaunch back into the podcast than my signature 3-step process. Now, what we're going to talk about today is how to drastically change your life. Like, I'm talking 360 your life, your business with these 3 simple steps. Now, I typically work with entrepreneurs that are running a business, whether it's a product-based business or service, whether they have a big team, a small team, or they're a solo entrepreneur. However, this is information, this is a process that you can use in any area of your life and in any career. So while I predominantly work with entrepreneurs, I do have some non-business owners as well. They're just like super ambitious in their career that want to work with me and do this process as well, and it works wonders. So without further ado, we'll get into it. We're going to be discussing today how to change pretty much anything in your life through my signature 3-step process. Now, before we dive deep into that, we need to identify where you're at. So I'm going to be talking in regards to career, but feel free to answer this podcast as we go along with the things that are relevant for you. So whether you're on like a health and wellness journey, whether you're talking relationships, whether this is in your career, in your business, literally apply it to whatever it is that you want to apply it to. So like I said, before we begin, first we have to identify where you're at. What is going well in your business? What is successful in your business? What is working in your business? What do you like and love doing within your business? What is going poorly? What is not working? What is not meshing? Where is there friction? It does not matter what area we are discussing. Friction is always, always, always an important piece of the puzzle. So if you are experiencing friction, allow yourself to sit with that for a second and figure out, why is this here? Why does this friction keep coming up? Why does this keep happening? Why is friction a theme in this specific area of my business? Identify why it's not working and why this issue keeps coming up. As we are uncovering the problem, right? We are figuring out where we are before we figure out where we want to go, which is part of the 3-step process. Figure out, ask yourself, what do I want more of and what do I want less of? If you had to categorize all of the outcomes that you see in your business and all of the efforts that you put in, there are 2 categories: things you want more of and things you want less of. That makes it really fucking easy to identify the things that you enjoy doing, the things that you like, the outcomes that you prefer, and the ones that you do not. I basically call this a audit. This is an honest review of your life and your business and whatever area you currently have in mind. And if this comes a little tricky, which for some people it can, and for others it's very easy, they immediately know where they are and what the issues are. If this comes a little bit more difficult for you, one of the things that I find so helpful is writing out all of the areas of either your life or your business or whatever it is that you're working on and ranking them on a scale of 1 to 10. It makes it easy because it's right in front of you, it's on paper, and you're able to identify, okay, how happy am I really with this in comparison to things that I'm really happy with and things that I'm not happy with. And now we can begin. So I emphasize a lot how important the audit is and how important it is to be honest with yourself about how things really are. You know how you kind of do that with your friends where you're like, how are you really? How are you doing? Be honest with me, be honest with yourself. How are you doing? That is just as important and just as essential in business, in your career, especially if you're trying to improve and you're trying to reach heights that you have never reached. Be honest with yourself about what you're doing well, what you're doing poorly, what you want more and less of, and how these things feel. How would you rate it? Is this a 5 right now? Is this an 8? Are you killing it in this one area but completely falling short in another? Be honest with yourself. Then we can get into the 3-step process. So my signature 3-step process is something that I have cultivated from 7 years of experience with entrepreneurs, with people that have really big and really lofty goals that are sometimes scary and intimidating, but also the most motivating and exciting thing that you could possibly have. So step number 1, identify your goal. Now, I need you to be so unbelievably specific. And while that information might be out there, while you might see other people and other coaches say be specific, I don't necessarily, now listen, I want numbers and I want details. How much, like, how many clients do you want? How much sales do you want? What do you want your team to look like in 6 months from now? We want things to be, we want to quantify things. We want to have numbers set in place, but that is not necessarily the most important part of this step. The most important part of this step is figuring out your why. So every single goal that you currently have should somehow connect back to your why, to why you're doing this and why it's important to you and why this matters. So for example, if your goal is to bring 2 new people onto your team over the next 6 months, it's not so much about, I want them for this, I want this role to be fulfilled, I want this person producing X, Y, Z. It's not so much about that. It's, do those goals relate to your why? You need to know your why on a very deep level. Why are you doing this? Why is it important to you? Why is this the thing you're pursuing? Whether this is a health and wellness goal, whether this is a career goal, whether it's a business goal, if you are going to dedicate all of your time and effort and energy, it needs to be something that's worth doing. Like for example, if you're more so in like the health and wellness space and you have a goal of gaining pounds, losing pounds, sticking to a diet, it's way less about the actual thing that you're trying to achieve and way more about the why. Why is that actually important? What will that teach you about yourself? What will that accomplishment mean about you and your commitment and your ability to do things? You see how there's always a deeper meaning? So when it comes to your own business and running something for yourself, you have to really, really know what your why is in regards to the business as a whole, right? Then you need to focus on, why is this goal the goal that I'm willing to pursue? Why is this next benchmark goal the thing that means the most to me right now? If you can figure out your why and you can quantify your goal and say, well, in 6 months, I want to be in a position where I am making X sales a day. If that is what you're looking to do, then you're able to move to step 2. Now, step 2 is all about the inner work. First, we're going to identify all of the obstacles, the barriers, the issues externally. But when we really get into the nitty-gritty, step 2 is about identifying and beginning to heal your limiting beliefs. So your limiting beliefs are the ways in which you are holding yourself back. They are, now listen, follow me here. They are likely beliefs that were instilled in you as a child. It was something that was likely said to you maybe once, maybe a handful of times, and it was something at that age that you adopted as truth. From that point on, you have spent your entire life either trying to prove or disprove this belief. And here we are today. Maybe it's 7 years later, maybe it's 17 years later, maybe it's 50 years later. And this is something that, you know, was brought up when you were 5 or 10 or 15 or whenever that was. Limiting beliefs have a lot of control over us when we do not identify them and recognize them and work to healing on them. I believe that half of the healing comes from just saying, oh shit, this is actually why I'm holding myself back. This is where I'm seeing all of my problems, and this is why. Feelings, beliefs, inadequacies, insecurities, all of these things will fall under the umbrella term of limiting beliefs. When you figure out what your limiting beliefs are and where they come from, you gain so much power and so much momentum because you finally know, okay, these are the things that are going to hold me back, and if I just address these head on, they cannot and will not interfere. So while these are things that you heal from over a lifetime, I do believe that the actual process of identifying them with somebody, writing them down, however that looks, I believe that that process in and of itself is so incredibly healing because now it's a pattern that you recognize. You have a cue, you have a pattern, and you have a desired outcome. does this pattern, does this behavior, do these beliefs fit the desired outcome that you want? It gets really, really simple when you have it written on paper as like, this is black and white. If you subscribe to these beliefs and you subscribe to these ideas and beliefs about yourself, you are going to get X, Y, and Z. You know your outcomes because they've been your outcomes for a lifetime. Whereas if you recognize these as limiting beliefs and you recognize them for what they are, which is beliefs that will continue to limit you if you do not address them, then you're able to move on. Then you're able to move forward and step into the greatest version of yourself. Self-mastery. I'm obsessed with it. Anyways, I digress. So step 2 is all about identifying and beginning to heal those limiting beliefs. Step number 3. I love this one because it kind of encompasses everything and it gives you exactly what you need to move forward with confidence. You need a bulletproof blueprint plan. Now, once again, this is something I cultivated with a lot of different entrepreneurs over 7 years of coaching. But essentially, a bulletproof plan is a plan that is designed for you. Now, yes, we have strategy and we have the blueprint, but the actual bulletproof part has to do with you. This is what I think can be really difficult to do on your own because it's hard to look. I mean, it's all a little difficult to do on your own, but you can also do it. I believe in you. Anyways, I digress. The bulletproof part of this plan is the fact that it's designed for you. You need to know your intrinsic motivation. You need to know yourself. You need to know your patterns. You need to know how you operate so that you create a plan that works specifically and individually for you. What works for your friend won't work for you. What works for an entrepreneur you see on TV, YouTube, etc. won't necessarily work for you. What works for Sally won't work for you, right? You need to know yourself and you need to know how you operate so that you can create a plan that keeps you motivated. You need to have a plan that works for you and your intrinsic motivation and your schedule and your life. What is your personality like? What are you motivated by? These are all things that I think get like very much overlooked when it comes to strategizing and planning. So that's the bulletproof part, right? The actual blueprint, I believe you can kind of do with anything pretty easily. Figure out where you want to be in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years. Maybe this is a 6-month goal and work your way backwards. Have maybe a year-long goal and say in quarter 1, I want to achieve this, in quarter 2, in quarter 3, in quarter 4, etc., etc. You break it down into smaller benchmark goals and make sure that you account for momentum and kind of like that snowball effect where if you first start working on something really strongly, I mean, I guess we can talk New Year's resolutions too because we are in November. So if that's what you end up planning throughout all of this, then so be it. But if you're planning for a year and you get some work done in quarter 1, know that you and your business in quarter 3 are really going to pay off on that upfront investment in quarter 1. So things are going to move a little bit easier once you get the ball rolling, so to speak. So account for that. But anyways, I digress. This is something that you guys can all do with literally whatever goal that you have, is creating this bulletproof blueprint plan where you know exactly what goals you're looking to hit at what point in the year and or years going forward. And I think it's important to not just write what the actual goal is, but also the breakdowns of that goal in regards to what you need to do in order to get there. Say you are running a business, say it is just you. What is it that you need to do in order to see that success? What are the things that you need to be doing daily? What are the things that you need to be doing weekly? And what are the things that you need to do monthly to ensure that those outcomes come to fruition? So it's not just about identifying the goal and writing that down in the plan and kind of ignoring the fact that this is going to take sacrifices and this is going to take effort and this is going to take consistency. What does that consistency look like in practicality? We have to be ambitious while also being realistic, and I think that's what I do really well is kind of combining the two, the real inner work, the limiting beliefs, the overcoming and mastering yourself, while also being super strategic and analytical and very much figuring out how this is going to play out in practicality. So for this plan, this has all been a mouthful, but for this plan, you should have very specific goals and very specific dates. And I'd like you to pair that with what it is that you're committing to doing daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and yearly in order to ensure that that plan is successful. Because at the end of the day, a plan basically means nothing if you don't know exactly what you need to do. So there you have it. That is my signature 3-step process to basically achieving anything that you want in life. Doing a complete 360 in your career, in your business, whatever that looks like for you, whatever goals that you're focusing on, feel free to apply it to that. I do it more so with entrepreneurs, but literally this works for anything and everything. Step 1, identify your goal. Step 2, identify and begin to heal your limiting beliefs. And step 3, create a bulletproof blueprint plan. I hope that you guys achieve all of the success that you're hoping to achieve in the 2024 year. Holy shit. I can't believe we're getting so close. Anyways, very, very excited to come back to podcasting. For those who have been with me for, I don't know how many years, I'm not really sure, but thank you so much. I appreciate all the support and all the kind words and all the reviews and all of the text messages and encouragement and DMs and all of that stuff. It has always meant a lot to me, and I've always loved doing this, and I'm very much looking forward to getting back into it. So thank you for your patience, and thank you for coming back. I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye.